On January 6, 2021, supporters of outgoing President Donald Trump stormed the United States Capitol. Most did so with the stated intent of trying to overturn Trump's loss in the 2020 presidential election. When the dust had settled, more than 140 people were injured. 5 had died. It was a violent and bloody event, the culmination of a long-simmering campaign of disinformation which had compelled American citizens to take up arms against their own country. The disinformation campaign was largely nurtured by the conspiracy theories of a group called QAnon. QAnon is most often described as a far-right conspiracy theory. The core belief system of QAnon centers around the belief that a secret cabal of Satan-worshipping, cannibalistic pedophiles are in control of the government. To the QAnon loyal, Donald Trump was the man waging war to bring these immoral elites to justice. From the day he was elected, Q followers were convinced it was only a matter of mere days before Trump would finally expose the Satanists and reclaim America. But as the days, months, and years went by with little to no progress, the rhetoric surrounding QAnon grew much more violent. They often called for the execution of prominent Democrats. The following are quotes taken directly from a QAnon forum on Reddit. "I'm surprised no one has assassinated her yet. Honestly, the buzzards rip her rotting corpse to shreds. I want to see her blood pouring down the gutters." Unsurprisingly, the FBI classified QAnon as a domestic terror threat in 2019. But one of the most disturbing features of QAnon is how widespread it has become. It has even found roots in law enforcement and with government officials. For example, Florida SWAT officer Mike Patton was photographed meeting Vice President Mike Pence while wearing a QAnon badge. NYPD Sergeants Union Chief Ed Mullins was interviewed on live television with a Q mug visible in his office. And highly controversial U.S. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene was once a vocal proponent of QAnon. It is not uncommon to hear horror stories from people who have lost friends and family members to QAnon. They often lament how otherwise intelligent and reasonable people have suddenly become convinced that Satan-worshipping pedophiles control the government, called the Deep State. The name QAnon is derived from Q, the pseudo-anonymous identity of a person or persons who called themselves the Q Clearance Patriot. They first posted on 4chan on October 28, 2017. The poster claimed to have Q clearance, a United States Department of Energy security clearance required to access top-secret information on nuclear weapons and materials. This Q poster went on to repeatedly post Q drops, in which they released cryptic statements said to contain top-secret information about future events. However, the statements themselves functioned like puzzles. Q drops were designed to be solved in order to extract the reportedly vital information that they contained. As a result, the authenticity of Q was difficult to definitively disprove, and the community established itself on a foundation of active engagement.
We don't sit behind a TV to see what's going on with the media lying to us every minute. We need to go out and find out what the truth is.
It also believes that there's a cannibalistic ring of pedophiles.
And if that comes to be true,
any group has its extremists.
I didn't say it couldn't be true, but I didn't say it could be true.
One of the unique aspects of QAnon is its surprisingly robust epistemology. To the believers, QAnon is a collective focused on investigation and justification of their beliefs. These are followed by calls to action. This active engagement of QAnon members has resulted in a group which has become far more violent than most conspiracy theorist groups. QAnon's cult-like tendencies have resulted in members cutting ties with their own family members and devoting significant amounts of time and money to their cause. The functioning of QAnon as a collective belief system challenges many of the current theories regarding the psychology of conspiracy theories. Belief in conspiracy theories seems to be widespread and growing rapidly with the aid of the internet. Oliver and Wood conducted 4 nationwide surveys and demonstrated that over 50% of the American public believe in a minimum of one conspiratorial narrative. However, with the large endorsement of conspiracy theories, very little research has been conducted into the reasons for belief in conspiracy theories. A significant feature of this study, and our future work on this topic, focuses on the ways in which QAnon, as a conspiracy theory, challenges the current theories within the psychology of conspiracy theories. We hope to ultimately demonstrate that many of the current theories and paradigms within these research areas need to be re-examined and re-evaluated. For now, we are focusing on 3 key explanations for conspiracy theories. 1. Intolerance to ambiguity. 2. Need for explanation. 3. Reality testing. It is commonly theorized that one reason why individuals may endorse conspiracy theories is due to a lack of information and an intolerance to ambiguity. It is believed that conspiracy theories can offer a simplistic explanation regarding complex events. Therefore, these simplified descriptions may draw the attention of individuals who favor cognitive simplicity over complexity. In other words, some individuals may find it easier to believe conspiracy theories instead of facing the ambiguities within the real world. Conspiracy theories offer a ready-made, convenient cause for the events which might otherwise appear undecipherable. And yet this theory does not easily fit with QAnon, where complex events generate complex explanations. Information is gathered and disseminated before developing plans of actions. In other words, the nature of QAnon runs contrary to the theory of conspiracy theories as being a means of easy resolution. Second, need for an explanation. In relation to intolerance, some have attributed belief in conspiracy theories to a need for an explanation. Unconventional theories may develop as a result of the desire to comprehend the cause and consequences of prominent events. Numerous psychologists have also argued that a reason for the mass endorsement in conspiracy theories may be due to wanting to regain control and being able to predict future events. The main problem with this particular theory, we are arguing, is that this is not limited to conspiracy theorists. The description of need for explanation is virtually indistinguishable from the construct need for closure. In short, this theory fails to distinguish itself from a very common cognitive behavior. As a result, we are left with the burning question of why, if we all seek closure and/or explanations of events, do some of us storm the Capitol while others do not? Finally, we come to reality testing. Psychologists have suggested that a deficit in an individual's reality testing may be an underlying explanation for why the individual endorses conspiratorial theories. According to Irwin, reality testing is an individual's inclination to analytically assess viewpoints and theories as a result of the individual's pre-existing general knowledge and personal experience. As you will see in our preliminary findings, this theory in particular was strongly contradicted by what we observed. Individuals were actively engaged in a form of reality testing, applying analytical testing and discussing justification of various epistemic claims, albeit in questionable ways. It is worth noting that reality testing as a theory has been mostly abandoned in favor of theories regarding differences in personality. However, as of the time of this writing, there is a notable lack of consensus on this construct. Therefore, we are staying with the original definitions of reality testing, as they are the most prominent in the literature.
Most conspiracists tend to be skeptical, if not outright hostile toward investigators, a position somewhat understandable given how they are often portrayed in the literature. As a result, administering surveys or conducting interviews was not a viable choice for our research. Also, given the overwhelming use of quantitative methods in the existing literature, we felt a new method was needed. One that begins with the words of the conspiracists as the data. So we have chosen to use theory-driven thematic analysis as our methodological frame. Additionally, the interdisciplinary nature of this phenomenon argues for thematic analysis compared to other qualitative methods. According to Braun and Clark in 2006, quote, in contrast to IPA or grounded theory and other methods like narrative, discourse, or conversation analysis, thematic analysis is not wed to any pre-existing theoretical framework, and so it can be used within different theoretical frameworks and can be used to do different things within them, end quote. For this reason, the use of thematic analysis is employed for its flexibility, as thematic analysis has versatility within a variety of epistemological standpoints. With this in mind, epistemologically speaking, this study is grounded in a view similar to the contextualist viewpoint proffered by Braun and Clark, quote, which acknowledges the ways individuals make meaning of their experience, and, in turn, the ways the broader social context impinges on those meanings, end quote. This particular study's code development was a hybrid of both theory-driven and data-driven ideas, using some theory to generate part of the code, but also allowing for some non-hypothesized themes to arise out of a close reading of the raw data. Due to the distrustful mentality towards quote-unquote mainstream research and the relatively recent purging of QAnon social media pages and forums, collecting data was difficult. Fortunately, the artistic and educational media organization Unicorn Riot archived several thousand posts from QAnon Discord chats. For this study, we chose two specific forums dedicated to quote-unquote research, titled Open Research and Pedogate. These were by far not the largest datasets to choose from, but these were chosen because they were focused on knowledge production. To avoid a bias in data selection, we used a random number generator to choose 3 pages, each containing around 200 posts in each category. Furthermore, these posts were further randomized during the data scrubbing, where superfluous information such as dates, usernames, and HTML code was removed, and then, with intentional randomization, again using a random number generator, 150 posts were chosen from each category to be coded. During the coding process, some data points were found to be invalid. They were either too ambiguous to be coded, such as a single word, or appeared to be sidebar conversations, such as results of sporting events, or code that had been missed during the initial scrubbing, leaving both data sets with around 120 data points. Using the aforementioned theories, with Ron serving as codebook manager, 5 codes were originally proposed: proof, doubt, moral claims, predictions, and prescriptive actions. For data reliability, standard intercoder agreement methods were applied. Data first coded individually by each researcher, then each of the coded lists was brought together and comparisons were made, and where differing codes were found, consensus was reached between us as to which code should be applied. Due to the small nature of the sample size and the preliminary nature of the study, we forewent calculating a kappa coefficient for ICA at this time. In addition, new themes arose from the data and necessitated new codes, such as questions, affirmations, symbol, appeals to history, and breaking news. The initial themes were chosen as a result of the 3 mentioned theories. Moral claims, to see the world in good and bad terms, stems from the intolerance of ambiguity. Proof and doubt codes were examination of the reality testing theory, where situational, political, or ethical complexities have simply been seen as false claims. Prescription and prediction, and to some extent proof as well, were designed with the need for explanation theory in mind, particularly because it allowed a regaining of a sense of control. Now, allow me to spend a moment talking about some of the new themes that arose out of our analysis of the data. By far the most intriguing were symbol and breaking news, and will themselves necessitate further study as our work with this project continues, but allow me to present some preliminary thoughts. Data coded for symbol represented 10 to 12% of the total coded comments, but was particularly present in the pedogate hashtag. These comments dealt in the interpretation of gestures, numbers, names, or pictures, logos, and media representations that were being quote-unquote decoded by the community, as if they were living in some kind of interactive Dan Brown novel. The data coded as breaking news was also interesting. Often these comments were simply links to current event news stories, headlines, or other media broadcasts with little to no explanation. These struck us as an emulation by members, as an imitation of the infamous Q drops, where they themselves take a hand at proffering to the community their own drops. Our preliminary results challenge a lot of the predominant theories in the existing static epistemology that seems to have functioned in the past conspiracy theory research, such as the JFK assassination, UFOs in Area 51, or the moon landing as hoax. What seems to be arising from our analysis is that the QAnon followers are demonstrating is not simply a quick-to-resolve belief system to relieve ambiguity, nor does it portray the oft-used mental deficiency argument, the idea that these individuals are mentally enfeebled in some way. Rather, it shows an active epistemology. As they see it, their task is not simply trying to seek answers and explanations for a phenomenon, but that all people should or even need to be engaged in these vigilante adjacent behaviors. So QAnon community members need to resolve for themselves that they are justified in their beliefs. In hindsight, this seems glaringly obvious, with one of the QAnon's mottos being, "Where we go one, we go all."